It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go, here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it with your friends, come on.
Come on, come on.
It's a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is time. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling Wednesday 8 and 9. And it's on. Once again. What is going on, people? Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show at night. That is the Sinclair Show on WBISLP, Awesome Radio 106.9, and all these other places you can find us. We on GPAT TV 23. We on Facebook. We on YouTube. We on Twitter, Twitch, one of them things. But anyway, glad to be here. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now, but with you all, my people. All right. So now, first, as always, again, I want to thank all of you all for continuing to send your mailbag questions, comments, thoughts, and everything else to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. I'm going to continue to address as many as possible of these things each night I'm on the air to reach you, because y'all the valued listeners. All right. So check this out. First of all, what's up with my brother Rod Jake? Glad to see you. And there go my mama. Hey, mama, what's going on? Cassandra Key, what's going on? Legal Beagle, Nikki Carter, glad to see you. Annie Moore, as always, it's a pleasure to see you up here. Look at Mr. Rollins, glad to see you, my brother. And there go Taya Matthews. Look, people, we got a lot of stuff to dissect, talk about, all kind of things. Some of y'all was in your feelings last week. And when I tell y'all was in y'all feelings, I mean, y'all was really in your feelings last week. And some of y'all came back and put your, what do you call it? Your little, y'all put your little pitchfork emojis and everything. Look, let me tell y'all something. Y'all really don't make me nervous because y'all be acting a little aggressive. I'm not concerned about your aggressiveness. All right. So we gonna get to some things tonight. And again, we've got a lot of things to talk about. Where should we start, people? I should let y'all pick and choose, but nah, I ain't gonna do that because that might cause a problem. Corey Parks, what's going on, my brother? All right, we should be back in the game. All right, so check this out. We're gonna start off with something simple. All right. Matter of fact, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of all of the wheel. Oh, y'all said the sound went out. Let me see what's going on with the sound. Oh, tight people. Let me see. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, she said I'm back now. Good job, Legal Beagle. All right. Jay Dizzle, what is going on? He said, what? Jay Dizzle said, I'm in this piece. Absolutely right. You are. So let me tell y'all, I want to go ahead so we don't have to spend all night on y'all aggressive responses to last week's show. We're going to go ahead and knock out all things that y'all replied to Will Smith, right? First of all, we started off talking about August Alsina is supposed to be penning a tell-all book about entanglements with Jada following that Will Smith Oscars fiasco. And he done dropped, as they say, he dropped a song today. Now, think about it, people. I am positive that Will Smith would much rather not be dealing with anything associated with August Alsina. But like any other person with the ability to make a few dollars, he decided he was going to go ahead and drop a little music. And I personally, not because I wanted to hear it, but because I wanted to see what the flavor of it was, I went on out there today and listened to a little bit of the August Alsina. To be honest with you, I was not impressed. Okay. And I think it's because I expected a little more. I thought it was going to be a little bit more rough cut, you know. If you're going to put out something about you sleeping with somebody's wife, you might want to make it a little extra, you know, a little extra something to it. It just seemed average at best, so I wouldn't go out and pay no money to see it, that's for sure. All right. So, but I am inclined to go and purchase that book. Not because we don't already know what happened, but I just want to see how I just want to see, is that my homegirl Loretta Battle? Yes, it is. Glad to see you, Loretta. Johnny, everybody is hollering at you. I don't know why. Let me see. Look here, y'all ain't gonna take up all my screen going back and forth with each other. But I do want to see for myself what's Will's reaction to this little book that's about the that he's supposed to be signing to pen and let everybody know how dysfunctional that family is. Jay Dizzle, what say you? You said that dude is still in his feelings. Probably. But then again, it may not be him and being in his feelings. He could be looking at this as a payday. Okay. And one might suggest, not I, but one might, that maybe he should not, Will Smith should not have wanted to bring some unnecessary attention to himself, and he might not be having his problems. Okay. Yeah, hold on for a second. I gotta. Anyway, so that's just one aspect of it. All right. So, and some of you who were in your feelings, and I'm trying to think of, I know I saw one thing in here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Is this it? Yeah, no, I don't want to cover that one. I don't want to cover that one. Let me see what this one says. All right, I'm gonna hide all that. Anyway, all right. So there is one, and I'm gonna tell you what the young lady was saying. The young lady who wrote something, and I can't find it right now to put it up, and I wanted to show it. Her question was more about the fact that, do we find it strange that many men look, my brother Rollins said, how can Will get mad? Didn't he give August Alsina the okay to entangle with Jada? Now, listen, now that right now, Mr. Rollins, those are facts, not in evidence. That is an allegation currently. Because the reality of it is so far Will said, no, I didn't. Nikki Carter said that's true, an unfortunate consequence of his actions. Absolutely, Nikki Carter. And here's the thing, people. And again, I'm not gonna give Will and Jada my whole night tonight. So y'all can, everything y'all want to say, y'all better say it early. I am looking at this from the perspective of, and it is alleged again, allegations only, that Jada put out a statement saying, James Key, what's going on, my brother? Glad that you could join us. It is alleged, and I keep using these phrases because obviously, anytime that you are broadcasting live, you want to make sure that you don't wind up needing a lawyer because of something you did. Mr. Rollins said, well, they were vacationing with August. Listen, Brother Rollins, I am in agreement with you. Things do look suspicious. But again, I operate in a space, and Cassandra will tell you, she is the legal beagle. She'll tell you that you have to be careful when you say something as factual, especially when you are on a forum like this that goes out to multiple places. I don't personally know it to be true. And at least at this time, Will Smith is denying that he gave the green light. Do I get on green? He gave the green light for there to be an entanglement. All right. But I am at least convinced of this much. There appears to be some level of truth to some type of interactions, but we'll get to that next. Now, the young lady that wrote the letter, she wrote me a letter and she questioned why did so many men last week have an issue about Will Smith defending Jada. And she said that isn't that what men are supposed to do? Nikki Carter said Will said during RTT, he gave the okay. I don't know what RTT is. I think she's talking about the Red Table Talk. And you must have looked at a remix version, because the one I saw, he said that he did not give a okay. But I'll go back and review. Rollins said, if it walk like a duck and talk like a duck, it's a duck. All right. Hey, again, Mr. Rollins, you may say some things that I, as the host of the show, may not be able to say as factual. So I have to say there are allegations. But let me get back to the lady who wrote that letter asking that question. Here's my answer to that. I do not believe that the men who replied a certain way last week replied that way because they have an issue about men defending women. I think 99% of the men who have what they believe to be a good woman would defend her to the very end. Matter of fact, there are probably a bunch of men in the cemetery right now who were defending the honor of a woman they believe to be worthy of that defense. However, let me say this. Everybody is not necessarily worthy of being defended just because they your chick, okay? My brother Rod Jake said there is a time to address an issue right then or address it immediately after the issue one-on-one. I agree with you. But Ty said exactly, people don't think Jada is worthy necessarily. Now I wasn't going to go there because, I try to be even keel here on the show. But ladies, let me ask you all. Do you all find Jada to be worth? And let me say this in a manner that doesn't get me canceled. I'm just kidding. I ain't worried about y'all canceling me. But let me say this in a manner that doesn't get the Me Too movement after me. Ladies, from what you've been able to garner about Jada over the years, do you believe, just based on the defending your woman thing, that Will should have got up and walked up on that stage? If you online tonight, on any of our things, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, let us know. All right. Nikki Carter, the first one to jump up, she said she don't think so. And while we're waiting for some of our women, Taya Matthews said, nope, she don't think so. Let me also ask this question. Is it possible that, hold on, here goes some from the legal beagle. Let's see what she says. A woman deserves to be respected, as is a man. As long as there is no violence involved, address personal issues or feelings in private. I concur, Legal Beagle. That is definitely the right way to go. Brother Rollins said, I applaud Will defending his wife. I boo the way he chose to do it. You know what, Brother Rollins, that's interesting. So let me say this. First of all, I believe, and this is only my perspective. Ty said, I just don't think Will should have put his reputation out like that for a comment. Okay. James Key said, meet him in the back. All right. There's a lot of folks went to the back and then kept going to the back of the cemetery. So I don't know. I don't know if any of these are actually the right way. But let me put you guys in a space where you ponder this. When you are in the public eye and you willfully open up your family, your life, your personal business to the public, do you believe then that you remove some of the rights to expect the public not to have an opinion about all of the things that you do and that you willfully expose? Okay. Ty said, no one gets to decide my partner's worthiness or value to me. All right. We'll take that and ponder that. But I want you guys to think about that. And I said this recently, not about this, because this comment that I made was to a client of mine that I was counseling. And Cassandra says, I still wholeheartedly believe the issue was not specifically about Jada. That's just my opinion. His slap was about something else, and very well could have been. I believe, although Cassandra, I think the difference between what you and I believe is this. I believe it was about Jada, just not that night. I believe that everything he did when he walked up on that stage was to prove a point to her for probably something she had been browbeating him about him being less than, and even potentially about what some of them other dudes that she's had entanglements with would have done in certain situations, or them being more of a man or him being less of something. So I agree with you. I don't believe it was about the joke. I do believe it was about something else, right? But here's the issue. What that song say? I throw hands. Okay. Nikki Carter said, how can you put that information out there and not expect people to have an opinion about it? I agree with you, Nikki Carter. And I want you guys to ponder this. This is what I said to somebody even before the Oscars that came up. And this was about a young man who was in his feelings because he had gone on to Facebook and he saw the, I believe she's his fiance. And she on a regular basis would post up pictures. None of them were nude pictures or anything, but they were all pictures that he found to be distasteful. All right. And Nikki Carter said, what point did he prove? Brother Rollins said, we can disagree or agree about Will defending his wife, but we agree he shouldn't have chose violence. Absolutely. Annie Moore says she's agreeing with Nikki. But this is what I told the gentleman that I was counseling. He was mad because there were people who were liking, putting the heart emojis, that were making comments that he found disrespectful to him about his girl, who was posting up pictures that were somewhat revealing and in compromising positions, if you will. And I said to him this: you can't get mad with the public for consuming what your girl consistently puts out on social media. If you're mad with anyone, it must be her. But you must also ask yourself, if that's not the type of woman that you want, then that's the decision you have to make. Because clearly she knows how you feel about it, but she still posts these pictures anyway. Johnny Key said, Will brought smacking season back. No, it didn't, Johnny. Let me tell you what it did. Kiki Matthews said, hello, how we are glad to see you in. Let me tell y'all something. Will ain't bring no slapping season back, Jay Dizzle. What Will did was he gonna see a bunch of people catch them hands. All right. There are other celebrities that have come out with issues about Chris Rock and having unfavorable encounters with him. I don't disagree with that. I don't think you wind up being in that industry that long without people having an issue. Now, Cassandra, I will say this. There are equally just as many people who have begun to bring stories forth about Will being not only a professionally being a bad person to work with or work for. So I don't take the things that people say about Will personal as a professional, because sometimes you can be somebody's boss and people not like the way you lead. Equally, I wouldn't take those things that they said about Chris Rock either. I think when you are in those positions, let me see, James said the problem was he saw the pics for the first time like we did. Hey, that could be it, James. Cassandra said she agreed Wills has issues too. Jay Dizzle said, as I said before, when he slapped Chris, he immediately made a bad business decision. Hey, I'm rocking with that, James. I mean, Johnny. And that's the point that I'm making. And like I said, when I was telling this to this young man, I was telling him before Will ever put the slap out there. You can't get mad at all of Facebook and Instagram and any other place where someone willfully posts up things that you don't like. You can't get mad at everybody that makes a comment you don't like, because they was invited to that by the person you with. And it doesn't matter if you male or female. Okay. Let me see. Rollins said Will got Aunt Viv removed from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hey, that's what she says. Allegedly, it's true. But I did even see that he admitted that he wasn't the nicest to her during that period of time. And I think he used the excuse, I was young back then. You know, so that we can navigate off the Will Smith thing, unless he does something else, let's agree to this. Johnny said that should have been a lesson to everyone. Absolutely. Let's agree to this. Will Smith had a right to defend his wife, irrespective of what the public thinks about her. Will Smith also is entitled to all the negative backlash that he gets from it, because it was a decision that, in all the choices he had that he could have made, he made the wrong one to become physical. Okay. And James said she was volatile. Carlton said that could be true. Nikki Carter said Jada is toxic. I listen. If we can agree that he had the right to do it, that he could have picked another way to check him, and that whatever point he was attempting to prove, that point was probably to Jada only. It wasn't to nobody else. And she's the one least likely to care about what he did. As a matter of fact, if you believe the allegations that she posted something saying she disagreed with Will defending her by slapping Chris Rock, she didn't need to be defended. I don't know that she wrote it for certain, because I can't validate that. So it's an alleged posting on her part. But I'll tell you this, it's not far-fetched for her to say it. She's done everything she could publicly to professionally undermine Will. And that I don't have to say allegedly to. All right. And the last point, I want to ask, this is for the ladies, because fellas, I know what y'all gonna say. Ladies, I saw an alleged letter that, what's their daughter name? Willow. Willow was supposed to have a wrote to Tupac. Now, Tupac had passed at the time. And the letter says something to the effect of, I wish you would come back because my mommy is sad, and something to that effect. All right. Nikki Carter said she trying to save face after she was seen laughing on the video. Hey, I saw the same thing, Nikki Carter. I'm with you on that. But what must Jada have been saying around the house to have young Willow at that time, who at the time when this was allegedly penned, she had to have been real young. What was you saying at your house to have your daughter writing a letter to a dead Tupac saying she wish he could come back because mommy is sad without you? Okay. Nikki Carter said, correct, Sinclair. She low-key sabotaging him. Absolutely. So I just want to know, ladies, what do y'all think about that? First of all, even if she was acting crazy at the house and had her daughter in some state of mind about Tupac begging him to come back, she wasn't begging her daddy to come home and make mommy happy. She was talking about, please, Tupac, I wish you could come back from the dead. And if the letter was real, okay, James said, if you was like Tupac, oh, that was what's part of what was on it. Again, right now, I don't know that the letter was authentic, but I do know it has been posted up. So right now, I'm gonna say it's alleged. But ask yourself this question: even if Willow wrote that letter, why would anybody be willing to post it? And it had to come from somebody at the house. Why would you even share that? Again, that's another dig at Will Smith. Bad enough you got August out here making songs and about to pen a book. Bad enough you at the red table talking about, oh, it was an entanglement. And bad enough you went on Oprah and said that the man really didn't know how to please you as a woman. It's bad enough that you was on these other talk shows, many of them, at least 5 that I've watched myself. You was in a room at the red table with Gwyneth Paltrow and somebody else, and you essentially said, look, Will really don't know how to please me, and I would have expected him to know how to do that. So my question is, ladies, should Will have gotten up if she doing all this foolishness and walked up on that stage and did anything? When the Chris Rock has said he didn't know about the alopecia. Mr. Rollins said it means Jada constantly talks about Tupac instead of her husband, Will. Yeah, Mr. Rollins, it does mean that. Said it's almost like she really doesn't like him or doesn't want to be married to him. Yeah, one might get that. Bingo. All right. I'm rocking with y'all on that. And that's the reason why I said Will Smith had the right to, Anymore said Jada might have told her Tupac was her first love. All right, maybe she did. Brother Rod Jake said, it's hard to love someone that doesn't love you, period. Hey, rock that. Nikki Carter said, I didn't know either. Same thing I said. Johnny Key said, quite a few people are trying to gain capital at Will's expense. Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchard said, good evening to everyone. Okay, Johnny, let's deep dive a few seconds, and I do mean few, to when you say quite a few people are trying to gain capital at Will's expense. Is one of the people you talking about Jada? Because if anybody's trying to get 10 minutes or 20 minutes of fame behind Will, it seems to be Jada, because she's not all the only, but she's always bringing out something that is ignorant about her own family and wanting to capitalize on it, it appears, on her red table talk show. I mean, some things you ain't got to go out to the public with. So, Johnny, if you are implying that there are people who are trying to gain something, he says she's part of the catalyst. Okay, I'm cool with that. But are you in agreement that she's also one of the people who are seeking to gain capital at his expense? And shouldn't she be the person who is most willing to protect his brand? That's the problem. But look, people, I done had my feel of this. I'm not gonna talk about Will anymore. Let me see. Rollins said Jada could be jealous of Will's success in acting. Probably so. Johnny says she should be. All right, let's go to something else. Let's go to something else. All right. Let's go. Okay, here's something somebody sent in. And it says, let me see. All right, it says the U.S. went to war over Arab oil, but we will not send troops to Ukraine when we see civilians in the streets, women being raped, and schools bombed. What do you think about this? All right. And they're scrolling down at the bottom of the screen so y'all can view it for yourselves. Ooh, this is a tricky little question right here. All right. The person is saying, and for those of you who've been under, Detective Pamela Black, glad to see you. Cassandra said that the letter that Willow allegedly wrote is not proven authentic, and I agree. You're absolutely right. That's why I said alleged or allegedly. Okay. However, let's say this. There's not been anybody from the Smith camp, being it Jada, Will, or anybody else, or Willow, who has come out and denied its authenticity, which Willow could have put it to bed in a minute. All right. But let's go back to this. Someone wants to know if the U.S. went to war over Arab oil, but we will not send troops to Ukraine when we see civilians in the street dead, I'm imagining they're saying, women being raped and schools being bombed. What do you think about this? That's a tough one, because I can understand why you feel the way you do, because it seems like we were over in Afghanistan and places like that forever for less. Let me say this to you, though. It is and I'm in full disclaimer, I'm prior military. All right. James said over Arab oil allegedly. All right. In full disclosure, me being prior military, I have some perspective and views that may be different from some. I do believe that in every situation, in every conflict that we find ourselves in, they do a risk analysis. And the risk analysis, just from the long view, if you will, is that going to war in Afghanistan and going to war in Kuwait and places like that, okay. Rod Jake said Ukraine are not under the protection of NATO. Okay, absolutely. That is a legitimate thing. But even greater to me is the U.S. must calculate the risk not only to America, but to their allies as well. And Mr. Rollins says, salute, brother. Thank you for your service. As always, I appreciate that. Going to war with Russia is much different than going to war with some of those other countries. And so in many cases, the risk analysis will cause us to take an alternative route of support. Now, I, like most of you, when looking at the egregious images of men and women burnt in 201 dugout pit and 200 in another, and to hear the horrible stories of young women being brutalized and raped, and those things pull at our emotional beings as human beings. And many times we want to do something, and let me be fair without crossing any lines. Just because you don't hear about the U.S. doing something does not mean that the U.S. isn't doing something. Sometimes we assist people without making it public knowledge because it is better for us to help and not get credit for helping than it is for us to be in a situation where it is publicized and we have to consider all of the other things that could potentially be fallout. I'm comfortable leaving it at that. So I do want you to know that the U.S. is not doing anything. Okay. But we are not always in a position to treat every horrific act the same way, because the risk associated to people other than us. Okay. Cassandra said, agreed. It may be hard to accept that the Ukraine and Russia war is not our fight to send troops. We have sent money, weapons, aid, etc. Johnny said, true. Rod Jake said, if the U.S. gets involved, the risk of world war is too much, so it is better for us to support them with aid and weapons. Absolutely. And make no mistake about it. Even if you haven't heard about troops being on the ground, it doesn't mean that troops aren't on the ground. We have mastered the art, and I'm not implying that they are. I'm just saying when you are a superpower, you don't need to get credit for your support. You simply need the people who need the support to know that it's there. And so, again, these things are horrible. They remind us of the times during concentration camps and other horrific things we've seen throughout the years. But make no mistake about it. What the Ukraine is doing with the support of allies and equipment and other things is that they are proving that if you want to have your country, you must personally be willing to jump in and fight. Johnny said, we have a way of being involved, even if it's low key. Absolutely. And I want you guys to understand that, is that everything cannot be publicized that we do. It's much like if somebody says, hey, man, I'm having some issues, right? Rod Jake said the U.S. also trained the Ukraine army after the earlier invasion of 2014. Absolutely. So it's like somebody saying, hey, man, I got a problem and I need your help. If you have the ability to go help, you don't have to brag about it. You ain't got to let everybody know. You just give them the help and keep it moving. And sometimes that's the way you have to operate. And in this case, we probably would not have an opportunity to see these levels of atrocities, but it is necessary. Because if you're going to change the way that the NATO community and others view this, for everyone to link together, sometimes you've got to see the proof of the atrocities before some of those other countries are willing to get on board. So we're going to leave it at that, but it was a great question, and I appreciate you bringing it. Look at Essie Shepherd. How you doing? Glad to see you tonight. All right, let's see what other questions we got out here. Let's go to this one right here. All right, it says, has U.S. transgender swimmer Leah Thomas reignited a testosterone debate in the sport? Leah Thomas is not the first trans swimmer in the NCAA, but her victories have put her at the center of a debate about trans athletes. So said the reigning Olympic champion in the women's 800 meter last year in a statement challenging rules that could threaten, and let me tell you why this is going on at the end of this. Challenging rules that could threaten her athletic career. The rules issued by the International Association of Athletes Federation, the IAAF, requires some female runners whose bodies produce high levels of testosterone to take medication. And that purpose of that was to lower those levels. And many saw the rules as a direct effort to target Samia. And I don't know if y'all remember her, but Samia, who was believed to have a condition that produced high level testosterone, she is a runner, and I believe she's either from Jamaica or Africa or some one of those places. Said the runner appealed the new regulation, but on Wednesday, the Court of Arbitration for Sports ruled against her. Over tangle webs. Yvonne Rouse, glad to see you tonight. She done jumped in with us. I believe they probably just got out of James Key said troop conflict could have a global impact. Absolutely, James. So let's talk about this. And this issue came up because Samia, I believe I'm pronouncing her name right, and if not, I apologize. Samia was the young lady who was attempting to run. She is actually a woman. Her body is determined to produce high levels of testosterone, and they had said to her she could not professionally run. All right. But lo and behold, we had another situation. And the other situation was about, hold on, Rollins said, is it fair? We're going to get to that now. The other situation was about a swimmer. And the swimmer was a transgender person, meaning used to be a male, transgendered or transitioned. I apologize, don't y'all cancel me. To being a female, and then was allowed to compete in a female swimming event to which this individual won. So we can start off talking about the disparity in justice when you tell a real woman she can't compete as a woman because her body produces testosterone, even though medically she has proven she is a woman. That's one thing. That's Samia. But Leah Thomas, who has come out and said she's transgender, was allowed to compete against other women. All right. Ty said that's wrong on every level. If she was born a female and she's in a female race, they shouldn't be giving her medication because she produces too much testosterone. She might have POS. I don't even know what POS is, but I'm pretty sure somebody's going to tell me. But think about this. Think about the hypocrisy. And I have not gone where many of you believe I will go, which is obviously one of them is black and one of them is white. Because y'all always say that, oh, Uncle Sinclair always tries to bring up the race card. I'm not bringing it up, but we should not be acting as if it doesn't exist in society. I'm saying to you, if you have a black woman, okay, matter of fact, I don't care what color the woman is. If you have a woman, let me see. Hold on. Ty didn't call out the name of it. Polycystic ovarian syndrome. Ovary syndrome. Polycystic ovary syndrome. Did I pronounce that right? I hope I did. Okay. James said, problem is that the rules say it ain't or ain't wrong, then those are the rules. Nah, James, I ain't rocking with you on that. Okay. Because the rules are made by individuals, and you cannot say to me, just because somebody said it's okay, it's supposed to be okay. You tell me in what part of, because it's in writing, the people who make rules sometimes get it wrong. And if the Samia, okay, race is one thing, gender is another. You're right, Mr. Rollins, but understand where I'm coming from. I'm talking about Samia and Leah from the perspective of one is a female and told, no, you can't race against females. The other is a male who transitioned and is then told you can compete against females. Okay. Johnny said, there is the crux. It's a race card issue that's driving this disparity of the rules as they stand. I agree. James said, not saying the rules don't need to be changed. James, let me say this to you. I don't personally care if you're saying that you believe they do need to be changed. I'm saying when you make a comment that if it's the rules, then it's the rules, you are implying that currently you believe it's justified for their actions. I'm saying to you, I don't care if they got it wrong when they created the rule. It was wrong then and it's wrong now. Okay? Sometimes we get caught in this space where we justify an injustice because somebody somewhere put it in writing and nobody checked them on it then. How can it be fair that a man who physically transitions into a woman by which by which they have the right to do, but how is it justified that they can compete against women? And probably if that individual didn't win, we wouldn't be talking about it. But they did. But you take a woman who is been tested and proven to be a woman, and you tell her she can't compete, and we're saying, well, that's what's in writing. Johnny said, for balance, however, it is subjective. I said the black girl had a biological advantage and they didn't like it. Absolutely. Those things are all true. The point that I'm bringing to you all tonight, because this was presented, is this. Disparity is something that we have grown to be comfortable with. Cassandra said, in my opinion, if they allowed Leah to enter the Olympics under whatever rules were approved, then let her compete and keep it moving. Hey, and you are entitled to that opinion. I simply view it differently, that they got it wrong. And I don't mind Leah competing. I mind Leah competing and Samia not being allowed to. Okay. That's my issue. Mr. Rollins said, without rules, anarchy forms. Absolutely. And I'm not anti-rule. I'm anti-rules that don't make sense or that create an unfair advantage for one individual, class, race, or otherwise. Okay? How can anyone be comfortable saying, well, the rules are that Samia can't compete, and then being comfortable with, well, just let it move on because they said that Leah could. And again, you don't like we're uncomfortable with the race discussion, but they didn't tell a white girl she couldn't run. What they did was told a black woman she couldn't. Cassandra said if Leah had lost, this would not be up for debate. Well, Ty said what Sinclair said. Well, Cassandra, let me say this. If she had lost, what may have happened is we may not have, if the news media may not have brought light to it. But if she had lost and it was still made known, many people would still have an issue with it because it still goes back to, why is a black woman not allowed to compete at the highest level when as a woman against women, but we are comfortable saying, because we don't want to upset anyone in the LBGTQ, and it might be some other acronyms, community. And this is not about them. That's the problem. We've become a society where if you go against anything that somebody in a what we believe to be a vocal class, which the LGBTQ community is very vocal. We're not saying you don't have rights. We're saying you shouldn't have rights greater than the person who is from that class. You mean to tell me that Samia, being a black woman, isn't protected? Doesn't she deserve the same rights as any other woman? And James, when you say don't blame the rules, get them changed, the get them changed part is right. But you have to blame the rules in order to get them changed. You have to be vocal about them so that enough people will say, I'm uncomfortable with the unfairness. I'm uncomfortable with the disparity. I do not believe black women deserve to be put in positions where they are once again undermined at their success, not because they can't reach that level, but because somebody is saying, I don't want this black woman to compete because she might beat everybody. But you don't have a problem with a man who has transitioned to a woman competing against women. And then we're saying, to some defense, we're saying that's progress. No, it's not. It's not progress. I bet you this. Let me see. The issue with Samia was in 2016 and it's now 2022. The rules did change. We cannot back in time. This is not a race issue, in my opinion. And I respect your opinion. I believe it was a race issue then. Samia still cannot compete. So it's not that it was just in 2016. She can't compete today. So again, if you're changing rules, don't just change white sport rules. Change the same, put that same energy into those athletic sports that Negroes happen to be successful at. Cassandra, I can concur with you if you had said, if they had changed the rule and Samia is now able to compete, but she can't. So this means that some group of people, probably not of color. Johnny said, I have a problem with the committee stifling Samia because her genetic makeup makes her superior to her competition. Johnny, you are absolutely correct. And it says, even though Leah has gone through the change, wouldn't she still have the strength in her arms and legs? No wonder she won. Perhaps you are absolutely right. I'm not in disagreement. Ty said, if a transgender woman can run in the female Olympics, then a black sister gender woman should be able to run as well. I agree. I agree totally. And I again, we are not bashing our friends who are on the show who have a difference of opinion. Everybody's entitled to opinion. But I just believe that black women have been boxed in corners for so long that it is unfair to them. And this is so clear that I don't see how anyone could debate the facts on their merit, which is the people who are at the Olympic Committee who said to themselves, it's okay to allow a person born as a man to compete against individuals born as women. Maybe they were attempting to be progressive, but how can you be progressive in one stance, but then you not think about a known case with Samia to which you would have gone back and corrected that? Johnny says Samia is a natural born woman and should be able to compete with her peer group. I agree with you 100%. And that's the point that I wanted to make, is that it shouldn't be about race, but the appearance of race comes up because the benefit was given to an individual to compete in a different format. Even if the person wasn't successful, it would still be an issue for me, even if not some of you. All right. Anyway, we're gonna go. We got time for at least another particular thing. All right. This is gonna be the last thing. All right, for the night. It says dead rapper hanging at the club And y'all wonder why folks look at us like this. The rapper, I think that they call him Goo News. I don't even know this rapper. So family thinks those criticizing the memorial service for the artist where his dead body was propped up on stage at a DC nightclub because the service went down exactly as he would have wanted it. People, let me say this to y'all. All right. I got to get this. I just got to say this. My people, y'all telling me, and I went out and looked at it. I validated this. So this isn't an allegation. They actually took this rapper who died. I don't remember the way he died, but it's irrelevant. And they took his body, not in a casket. They had his body propped up on the stage at a DC nightclub, and they was partying with the dead dude hanging up. I saw it for myself. You can look it up for yourself. And you all wonder, you all meaning my people, my 53%, my Negro comrades, that's his name right there, Goo News. Look it up for yourself. Go to Google and look up rapper Goo News, and you're going to see this body of this dude hanging up in a DC nightclub. Y'all done lost y'all mind. Okay. All right, so look here, people. I wanted to put that out there so y'all can ponder over it. But look here, we getting ready to cut the show. I'm not going to go into another issue tonight, but we're going to come back. James said they doing too much. And he said, OMG. Ty said, that's crazy. Absolutely. Mr. Rollins said that mom was okay with it, so was I. All right, look here, Rollins. We was rocking with you for a second. Look, people, I'm about to get up out of here tonight. I'm gonna take 3 minutes off early because y'all done got me out here on something. So look here. I appreciate hollering at y'all.
Baby.
We're gonna see y'all next week, all right?
Here we go. The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Running with your friends. Come on. This is the moment of the show tonight.